Hey everyone, hope you're having a good day. I'm Pastor Ranjo. This is your community group video, and whether you're watching at home and prep for group or at group together, thank you so much for being part of our community. So this Sunday we continued in our series called Jesus is Greater Than. But before we get there, I want to take a minute to remind you all of our Nailed It Challenge at the Super Bowl lunch on February 3rd. You know, that video was so awesome, but I bet there's some good bakers in our community. So far, the Mostad group has been bragging. They think they have this thing under wraps, but I know for a fact that the Ramsey group has something to say about that. Maybe some of you have something to say about that too. So make sure you get involved, make some good delicious desserts, and let's have a good time, and then the Ramsey group will win. So this week we looked at chapter 3 in Hebrews, and for more, here's Lisa with your 90-second sermon recap.
Hey everyone, it's Lisa with your 90-second sermon recap. We're continuing our series called Jesus is Greater Than. And Jason talked this week about a few key passages in the letter to the Hebrews where the writer talks a lot about Moses and the gold standard of leadership that Moses established for Israel. Every other leader was always compared to Moses. And he talks a lot about comparing Jesus and Moses because a lot of those high leadership qualities, we could see those in both of them. But the writer's also very careful to point out that as high as we could hold Moses up in a position of leadership and esteem and whatever amount of faithfulness that Moses could inspire for the people, how much more should we be inspired to faithfulness by Jesus, who is not only just a servant as Moses was. Moses was a servant of God, but how much more should we be inspired by Jesus, who is the Son who perfectly serves the family of God, who not only gave himself up for the children of God, but continues to serve and care for the family of God in every perfect way. So how much more should the greatest inspire our greatest faithfulness?
Great job, Lisa. So, Pastor Jason started the sermon talking about great leaders, FDR, Moses, Jesus, and it got me thinking, who was a great leader in your life? This could be someone you know now, it could be someone you knew growing up, it could be someone you don't know personally but have been influenced by. Who has been a great leader to you and why? So for your second question, we're going to look at part of the passage we studied on Sunday. It's Hebrews chapter 3, verses 1 to 6. I'd like you to read that as a group, and then take a few minutes to meditate on it, and then share some of the thoughts you have about the passage. What stands out to you? What questions do you have, or ideas or thoughts come to mind as you read that passage? Go ahead and share. Finally, your last question for tonight is the question we ended the sermon with. Where in your life is Jesus worthy of greater faithfulness? And Pastor Jason was pretty specific about his examples, and I want you guys to be specific here. I know that's vulnerable, but where in your life do you need to be more faithful to Jesus and how he's calling you to live? The good news about this is a vulnerable question, but the good news is that when we turn around and offer it back to Jesus, he gives us the strength and the power to be faithful to him. So go ahead, if you're running out of time, maybe break up into groups to have this discussion, and then let it lead into a time of prayer, asking God to come in and change the influences in that situation. All right, that's it for today. God bless. Have a good time.